All right, so get this. Picture a future where cities are practically straight out of sci-fi, like they can rebuild themselves. Self-healing buildings. AI calling the shots on, like, entire ecosystems. Sounds wild, right?
It does, almost like something out of a movie.
Right. And our source today, this piece called The Intelligence Age, says that kind of future might be closer than we think.
What I found really interesting is how the article puts it. It argues that we're not just talking about a simple tech upgrade here. This isn't like switching from, dial-up to broadband.
Oh, I remember those days.
It's more like, think about humanity going from like the agricultural age to the industrial revolution. But this time, it's AI driving the whole thing.
I gotta admit, when I first read that, I was like, whoa, hold on a sec. But then I started thinking about it. Just look at how much everyday tech has already changed, even just in our lifetime. Remember when smartphones were like the new big thing?
Oh, yeah.
Now we've got instant information, global connection. I swear, pretty soon we'll be ordering pizza delivered by drones. It's incredible how fast things are changing.
And that's a really important point. This isn't some sudden AI takeover like we see in those sci-fi movies, robots going rogue. This intelligence age, as they call it, it's being shaped by all these advancements that are happening right now. And driving it all, there's this thing called deep learning.
Deep learning, right. Now, I know that might sound kind of like, well, tech jargon.
It is a bit, yeah.
But it's actually super cool, so stick with me here. Basically, imagine an algorithm, like a set of instructions for a computer. But this algorithm, it can actually learn from data. And not just learn, it gets smarter, way smarter, the more data you give it and the more computing power you use.
Exactly. And what makes deep learning so powerful is that it can look at huge amounts of information, and it'll find these patterns, these connections, things that we, with our human brains, might completely miss.
It's true.
It's like having a superpower detective working 24/7, solving all these complex problems and finding new possibilities.
Yeah, that's what I found so amazing about this. The article, it doesn't just talk about deep learning like it's some tool. It's like the main force behind this whole intelligence age. Like, we just unlocked this secret weapon, and now we can use it to solve, like, humanity's biggest challenges.
Yeah, and the potential, it really is huge. The source even uses this phrase, a future of unimaginable prosperity.
Like, we're talking, what, flying cars?
Think bigger.
Bigger.
Space colonies, figuring out climate change, maybe even things we haven't even thought of yet.
Okay, now that unimaginable prosperity, that got my attention. I mean, who doesn't want a future like that, right?
Right.
But, and the source does mention this, it's not all, sunshine and rainbows.
Right, exactly. It's not like we'll all have robot butlers bringing us cocktails. The article, it makes this comparison to the Industrial Revolution. Think about it. All those incredible advancements.
Oh, yeah. Factories, mass production.
Exactly. And eventually things like cars, airplanes. But there's always a but. It also brought some not so great things.
Like what?
Pollution, child labor, big changes that not everyone benefited from.
True.
It wasn't all positive.
And this article, it's saying the intelligence age, it could have some of those same, like, growing pains. One thing that really stood out to me was the part about, jobs.
Yeah, definitely a big concern.
Because if AI gets as good as they're saying, what happens to all the jobs that machines can do better and faster?
Right. The source actually makes this very interesting comparison. They talk about how, think about lamplighters today.
Oh, okay.
It was a job that used to be so essential, and now it's almost like quaint. What's important isn't holding on to the jobs of the past. It's about getting ready for the jobs of the future.
So less about, like, mass unemployment and more about a career shift, a big one.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a little less scary, but how do we even prepare for jobs that don't even exist yet?
And that's where this whole idea of, the source talks about, wisdom and conviction.
Wisdom and conviction.
Yeah, it's not enough to just create awesome AI. We have to be smart about how we use it, how we make it part of society.
Okay, so it's less, let's build it and they'll figure it out, and more like, let's build it carefully with a real plan and hope for the best.
Exactly. The wisdom part, it's about really understanding the potential impact of this technology. And that means both the good and the bad.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's about having those tough conversations, about ethics, about fairness, making sure that AI helps everyone, not just a small group.
And the conviction part, what does that even mean in this, like, AI world?
So conviction here, it's about having the courage to act on that wisdom we were just talking about, to make those tough decisions, even to say no to certain uses of AI.
Really?
Yeah, if they raise ethical red flags, even if they could make a lot of money, it's about putting humanity first.
So it's this like balancing act. We've got this amazing potential with AI, but we can't get so excited that we ignore the risks.
100%.
We need to be, well, smart about how we move forward with this.
Definitely.
You know, it's funny, we talk about all this like wisdom and conviction stuff,
Yeah,
but it kind of feels like we're, I don't know, walking a tightrope here, you know?
I see what you mean.
On the one hand, this future with AI, it could be like mind-blowingly awesome,
Right.
but if we don't do this right, if we're not careful, things could go south pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the source even says that, you know? They actually say that trying to really get with this intelligence age will be like, it's like imagine trying to explain the internet to someone back in the 1800s.
Ooh, good point.
Like, how do you even start?
Right.
It's practically impossible. But even with all that, not knowing for sure, there's this thread of optimism throughout the whole thing. This idea of, like you said, unimaginable prosperity.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that prosperity thing for a sec. Because it's a word you hear a lot, but what's it actually mean here in this whole AI future? Are we talking about, like, everyone gets a flying car and a robot butler, or is it something more than that?
Oh, it's way more than just like material stuff.
Yeah.
The way the source describes it, it's like unlocking what humans can really do, but on a scale we can barely imagine right now. Think about it. What holds us back as people? Disease,
Yeah.
poverty, messing up the planet.
Big ones, yeah.
Now, picture a world where AI helps us get rid of that stuff, like for good, where those things aren't holding us back anymore.
So less about, like, luxury and more about solving the really big existential problems.
Exactly.
Using AI to tackle the things that have been around for, like, forever.
Mhm.
But is that even possible? It sounds kind of too good to be true, you know?
That's where it gets really interesting. It's about this combination of deep learning, having enough energy, and good old human ingenuity. Remember how the source talked about AI making science go way faster?
Yeah, they were pretty excited about that.
With AI giving us a boost, we could have breakthroughs in medicine, figuring out new materials, how we get our energy. The possibilities are, like, endless.
So it's not even just that AI could make our lives easier, it's that it could completely change what it means to be human.
Right. It's a lot to take in.
It is, yeah. A lot to think about.
And honestly, I think the biggest thing to remember here, the thing the source really wants us to understand, is that we're not just along for the ride. This intelligence age, it's not like some set path. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, what we talk about, what we actually do.
So what you're saying is if someone's listening to this and they're maybe feeling a little, I don't know, overwhelmed by all this AI stuff,
Understandable.
what's the one thing you'd want them to take away from our little deep dive here?
Don't be afraid to, jump in. Read about AI. Talk about it with people. Really think about both the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Because the future, it's not some far-off thing. It's being made right now, and we all have a part in it.
I love that. It's not about knowing everything. It's about being curious, staying in the loop, and actually being a part of the conversation.
Exactly.
And hey, who knows? Maybe someday we'll all be telling our grandkids about the good old days, before self-healing buildings and AI fixing the climate were just normal things. Thanks for going on this deep dive with us, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring.